It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
If it's on,
Run it to your friends. Come on.
come on, come on.
It's the moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair's on the mic.
Once again, it's so you still trouble in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing, because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling Wednesday 8 and 9. And it's on. Once again, it's on. You're listening to the only morning show at night, people. That's right. It is the Sinclair Show coming to you live and hot off the presses, if you will. First, I want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions and comments to sinclairtalk@outlook.com. I'm going to continue to address as many as possible each night that you're on the air, because I want to reach you, the valued listeners. And some of y'all say, well, what does it mean to be a valued listener? That means that if it wasn't for you all, you people, I could be asleep right now. But because you are important to me, I'm not asleep. We about to have conversations and dialogue about a couple of little hot topics. So we ain't even gonna let a minute of grass grow under our feet. We got things to talk about tonight. All right. So, first and foremost, man, let me tell y'all something. Just keeping it real with y'all. This has been a long week. Y'all ever seen just how time move a little extra slow when you having a busy week? They used to say, when you got a lot going on, time move by fast. Nope. Seems like time only moves by fast when it's something that you want to be doing, because then it'd be like, man, we ain't get no time. But right now, this has been a long week, and I am thoroughly tired. But there are some things that I needed to talk to you, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. We got to talk about some of this foolishness going on. And the primary topic, as many of you have heard about or seen, if you will. Matter of fact, I almost slipped up. First, forgive me, Joe Public. There was an announcement I needed to make at the beginning of the show. And since we at the beginning of the show, let me go ahead and say this. Man, I want to send a shout out, a happy birthday shout out to my homie, my son, Xavier. He out there in Colorado doing nice things. He been saying for the longest time, oh, I'm not this. Man, he done hit that 31 now. Now you got to start being serious about life. Yeah, that right there. You can be carefree to a certain age, and to get a certain point, you be like, man, I got to straighten up and figure this game out. But he's been doing a great job, and I can't complain. I'm very, very proud of him. So if y'all see him out here on the internet or whatever, holler at him, give him a shout out, tell him happy birthday today. Now, let me just say this for the principle of the moment. There are some things that we're going to talk about tonight, and they're dealing with the legal system, and it's not just about Diddy, even though I'm going to give y'all an update about him. We're going to talk about this case that's going to be coming up in Kentucky. And for those of you who may have been not keeping up with what goes on in the real world, because I get it. Many of you do not pay attention to stuff that don't have nothing to do with you. Y'all let that be whatever it is and keep it moving, and there's never any qualms about it at all. All right. But I need to let y'all, hold on, let me minimize this before I be done lost y'all. I need to let y'all know that there is a situation brewing amongst the people in Kentucky because a sheriff approached a judge and somehow they wound up in the judge's chamber, to which the sheriff winds up shooting the judge. Now, understand what I said. Yeah. The sheriff shot and killed the judge. And initially, you all probably just like me was saying to yourselves, for what reason this dude have to shoot a judge? And so I went doing my due diligence because it had me a bit curious. And so as we talk about the things that popped off tonight related to the judge, let me say hello to my mama. Hey, mama, what's going on? James, keep what's going on. So we're going to talk about this because there are some plots and some twists to this storyline that I think we need to discuss, because many of you may have gotten the wrong idea about the old country sheriff. Well, thank you, James. James done noticed the little hat that we rocking tonight. Great job, thank you. And so I wanna begin with, well, let me just read it to you so I make sure that I have it in context. One article reads, the Kentucky sheriff is accused of killing a judge after calling his daughter on the victim's phone, which had the number stored. Now let's take it from there. All right. So Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins is charged with first-degree murder in the killing of District Judge Kevin Mullins. Now let me tell y'all some facts. It is not alleged. Now they may say alleged, but it is not alleged because the video exists whereby we see the sheriff entering into the judge's chamber. They have some dialogue, and based on the dialogue, the sheriff brandishes his gun, his weapon, and does in fact shoot the judge. So I'm gonna take y'all along on this walk with me, but I need y'all to understand some things are not alleged, some are factual in basis. All right. And so it says at a preliminary hearing, and I did watch this. You all can go out on YouTube and locate the videos if you want to keep up with it and see things for yourself. But it says at a preliminary hearing on Tuesday, October the 1st, Kentucky State Police Detective Clayton Stamper testified that former Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins, 43, attempted to call his daughter on his own phone and then on 54-year-old District Judge Kevin Mullins' phone prior to the shooting. All right. And I was told that Sheriff Steins, I'm quoting, had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also. Stamper testified. Stamper said Steins' daughter's phone number was stored in Mullins' phone. The fatal shooting of Mullins occurred in his chamber. Now, let's get to the subplot. All right. Subplot number one. If somebody finds himself in a position where he has reason or cause to believe I need to go and confront somebody. Now, let me be fair. I did also read and listen to reports. And just because somebody says it doesn't make it true, but I am piecing together some factual data But I can say 1 + 1 equals at least 2 in America. Now, part one is we know he shot him. We know there was a verbal conversation. We don't know exactly what was said because I've yet to hear the entirety of the call. But whatever was said, I can at least deduce from what happened that if an individual, a man in this particular case, goes to another man's workplace, has some conversation, and in the course of the conversation, he requests in some degree the sheriff's phone or another man's phone. Let's just put it right there. Gwendolyn Lady Elegance from Huntsville, Alabama. Glad to see you. Now, again, walk with me now, because I don't want y'all to get the wrong idea or not have some information. I believe if it is what I suspect, that the sheriff is probably not going to do much jail time. He may only do jail time until the trial. Because what I am piecing together is, first thing we look for is, did the crime happen? The answer in this case, we know the crime did happen. The next thing we want to know is, why would somebody commit an act? And though we don't have the full layout of the motive, we must at least conclude based on factual evidence presented in the preliminary hearing that a man went to another man's job, and the man that went to the other person's job suddenly says, or at some point says, I need to see your phone. We automatically know out the gate, it is not normal for a grown man to go to another grown man's place of employment and ask him, hey, I need to see your phone. Well, unless I'm in distress and my car broke down, I don't really have a reason to be asking another grown man. And when he got the phone, he attempted, at some point, he went looking in this man's phone for his 15-year-old daughter's cell phone number. And if news reports and if the lead investigator's testimony at the preliminary hearing is factual, the 15-year-old daughter's number was in fact stored on the 53-year-old judge's cell phone. Now, he could have been there for a host of reasons. The 53-year-old judge could have been a tutor. The 53-year-old judge could have been, he could have been doing anything. He could have been looking for some, for a part-time admin assistant or something for himself there at the courthouse. I don't know. Because those facts as to why the number was in there have yet to be revealed. But I am certain of two pieces of key evidence. Whatever caused the sheriff to be in his feelings, if you will, they were strong enough feelings to make him go to a sitting judge's chamber. Now, let's be fair. Those right now are the factual pieces. He went to the sitting judge's chamber. He did at some point request the sitting judges, who happens to be 53 years old, and age should not matter as to the killing, but it may be part of the motive. We simply don't know at this point. But we do know the 53-year-old male judge when the sheriff did obtain possession of his phone and went through it, he identified his 15-year-old daughter's number as being, per the investigator, stored in the phone. Now, if you all are like me, if you're logical and a critical thinker and you use reasoning, I'm already willing to give the sheriff an opportunity to be out on bail with maybe a little ankle bracelet until trial, because I don't view him as being a threat to anybody else in them streets. Because unless there are some other grown men with his 15-year-old daughter's cell phone. Uh-oh, y'all, there go Jay Dizzle. What's up, Johnny? Glad to see you on the show tonight. But again, let's go back now. Unless there is another grown man with his 15-year-old daughter's number stored in their phone, he should be able to be out until trial based on the fact nobody else should be he shouldn't be a threat to anybody else. That's my opinion. Because I believe whether it was in the heat of the moment, in the heat of passion, as they say, whatever that drove him to be in that state of mind, I believe he has eliminated the concern. So out the gate, I think, and listen, people in the minority community, my brothers and sisters, I don't want y'all to say y'all feel some kind of way, because I believe that the sheriff, who happens to be white, should be released at least with a monitoring device pending trial. Because again, I don't have all the facts, but I got a couple of pieces of the facts. And part of the facts that I do have indicated that he went to talk to that judge, that he asked that judge for his phone. At some time he did gain possession of the phone, that when he looked through the phone or when he dialed a particular number, which happened to be his daughter's number, his 15-year-old daughter's number was stored in a 53-year-old judge's phone. And I'm assuming that it wasn't his uncle, that wasn't his brother. So I understand the complexities of the legal system, but I still believe that keeping someone incarcerated prior to trial should be based on, do you believe a couple of things? First and foremost, do you believe this individual poses additional threats to the community? And again, unless you are another grown man in that community with this sheriff's 15-year-old daughter's phone number stored in your phone, you shouldn't have a problem. You should be able to walk around and say, how you doing, sheriff? And everything be all good. Because he was apparently looking for an individual who he had reason to believe had been reaching out to his daughter. Now, I don't know, again, I want to be fair. I do not know the reason, and it was not, right about it, what's going on, girl? Glad to see you. It was not revealed in the preliminary hearing if there was other things that the prosecutor had been able to ascertain that might have been a driving force. I don't know if it was any pictures in the phone. I don't know if there was any audio clippings in the phone. But I do know, based on the lead detective, that the young 15-year-old girl's cell phone number was in fact stored in the 53-year-old judge's phone. Now, let me ask y'all a serious question. And I don't want y'all to speculate or judge. Let me do that for you. But if you found your 15-year-old daughter's cell phone stored in a 53-year-old man's cell phone, how would you feel? What would your reaction to that be? Don't be scared. You can all respond if you want. I'll wait. Because I want y'all to understand, men act real protective over their daughters, over their kids in general. What's going on, Chanelli Rawls? And again, I am not allowing myself to give the sheriff a pass. I don't want y'all to bring race in it, because I would say the same thing if it was one of them brothers out there. But I've gotta go down the proverbial rabbit hole, because we don't have all the facts, but I got enough facts as a man. Matter of fact, let me let y'all see what the people say. James said everybody can get it when it comes to his daughter. Johnny says slap the fire out that dude. Andre Williams, what's going on, my brother? Glad to see you. Now, I know Andre must ain't heard what I was talking about. I got to ask him this right now. Andre, we're talking about the sheriff in Kentucky that killed a judge, and we have found out that, excuse me, that the sheriff prior to had asked the 53-year-old judge, let me see your phone. When he went in his phone, he found his 15-year-old daughter's cell phone number stored in the judge's cell phone. And not claiming to know any of the other information, Andre, if you found a 53-year-old man had your daughter's cell phone number locked in his phone, what time would it be? See, I know a few brothers that feel a certain kind of way about their daughters now. They don't really play about their sons, but I'm telling y'all, men act a little. You could be a deadbeat dad and find out that some grown man had your 15-year-old daughter's cell phone number locked in his. Wasn't no accidental, because again, we don't have all the information, but we got enough information to know, based on the lead detective, that inside of the cell phone locked in. That means if you lock my number in your phone, you had the intent, even if you didn't do it, you had the intent on calling me back. Because if I call you and we just having casual conversation for whatever reason, maybe let's say the 15-year-old might have reached him out. Maybe their families knew each other, and she said, hey, I need a letter of reference to get a job. You can speculate anything. Somebody call you talking on the random. Unless you plan on calling them back, you're not going to log their number into your phone. What's going on, JC? Thanks for the compliment. Glad to see you on the show tonight. So what I'm trying to tell you all is, while we do not support violence in most situations, if you as a grown adult who has a child knows a 53-year-old grown man that has your 15-year-old daughter's number locked into his cell phone, and you find out, hey, Andre done told y'all, he said it's action. Check my Facebook page. I have a similar debate going on. Oh, we're going to check that out then. We're going to definitely check it out. And see, I want y'all to process this, because sometimes when we start talking about a different perspective, some of you all get in your feelings because you start trying to put this on race. Oh, this, and that. This is not about race. And I am not cowering. Most of the time, I think if you done took somebody's life, you ought to be locked up. But in this case, there are circumstances that lead me to say, if I found my 15-year-old daughter's number, I don't care what the reason, Now we can say this with a high level of confidence. I've been a counselor for greater than 15 years, close to 17, but greater than 15. I can tell you this, that when a person is already amped up about something, whatever it is, that means they have gotten hold to some information. Information could be accurate or inaccurate, but they done got hold to some information. And whatever information that they have gotten their paws on, it has led them to feel an emotional way. So this particular sheriff who went looking for this specific judge was already heated, and they decided, you want to take this in the chamber so we could talk in private. They go in the chamber, some conversation happens, and dude said, let me get that phone. Now, it is sheer speculation on my part, but I got to believe for you to know to ask for the phone, you done seen or heard somebody say that this dude was calling your daughter. And let me say this to you young ladies out there. Some of you young ladies might be faster than a $2 bill. I ain't judging. That's between you and your parents. But there are some cause and effects for your actions. Anymore, what's going on? Glad to see you. And I need y'all to understand this, because if what I suspect, and right now it is only speculation, if this 15-year-old girl was having any type of conversation that was deemed inappropriate by her father, I'm going to feel some kind of way about that too. But for right now, I'm not going to speculate about what she could have been doing, because she could equally have told her father, this judge keep trying to holler at me. He keep calling me. Or she could have told her mama, or she could have told her best friend, and somebody got the intel back to the sheriff. So we don't know how or why or what was going on. What we do know is the outcome of whatever information he got led him to go see this 53-year-old man. And what we do know is at some point, when the conversation was going on, what he asked about was, let me get that phone. Now, I'm going to be honest with you again. If the judge knew he was wrong, ain't no way he's supposed to have gave up that phone. That don't make no sense. You should have never gave up the phone. You shouldn't have been having a 15-year-old girl's number in your phone. But again, I don't know if the judge was asking the 15-year-old daughter if she would tutor his daughter. I don't know what the purpose of it was. It could be an innocent explanation. I don't know. It could have been that the judge was calling his daughter to ask her to tutor or do something else that was not illegal, nothing nefarious, as they say. And the mama could have heard her saying, well, who called you? She could have said, oh, that was Judge such and such. She would have been like, well, what do he want? Oh, nothing. He just called her, asked me such and such. She could have told her husband. How did the judge get our 15-year-old daughter's number? And if he wanted to get in touch with her, then he should have came through us. Essie Shepherd, what's going on, y'all? That's my armor bearer right there, keeping them wolves off my back. JC says sometimes it's not necessarily fast, but they may think, I think she's trying to say they may think it's cute that a grown man is attracted to them, but at 15, you don't have the emotional intelligence that something is off. All right. Hey, JC, let me tell you something. You're on to something. Nikki Carter, glad you could join in tonight. I thought you might like a show like this where we're talking about the sheriff that killed a judge. And somehow we found out that something connected to that was the 53-year-old judge having this man's 15-year-old daughter number in his phone. JC, but and see, again, I don't I'm trying to provide some scale and scope, if you will, that there are a host of things that could have taken place that may not have been what it seems. But if we start at the top and we say, there's not a reason for a 15-year-old girl's number to be in a 53-year-old man's cell phone locked in. And some of y'all keep saying to yourselves, well, why Sinclair talking about he keep using the emphasis on locked in? Because there's a difference between somebody dialing a number either by accident or somebody calling for a quick purpose. And next thing you know, that's different. If somebody goes through your contact page in your phone and they see their 15-year-old daughter's number stored in there. Now, I ain't saying it was stored under cute girl. I ain't saying, I don't know how he had it stored, and neither do you. So we're not going to speculate on that. But you had her number stored in there. And that within itself is problematic. And I believe, based on what the video shows and also what the lead detective has testified to in the preliminary hearing, I believe that whatever drove him there was associated with the young lady. I believe that once he asked for that phone and did in fact find her number, I believe everything that happened after that may be, and let me say this, and some of you all are not going to like what I'm about to say. It is possible that the sheriff got it wrong, but still should not be incarcerated for any major time. Some of y'all gonna say, well, why in the world would you say that if the judge was not engaged in any nefarious activity with the 15-year-old? Then surely the judge should do all the time that a regular person would get. I mean, the sheriff should do all the time that a regular person would get. But the problem is, I don't feel that way. I feel like the same way that they tell police that normal circumstances, a police officer is not does not go to jail when they shoot a civilian, because they always are going off what was in the mind of the person at the time that they committed the act. And I think if you find you don't put enough pieces in play, if you go there and you ask somebody, hey man, do you know my daughter? And they start looking at you with them deer eyes. Y'all know them long eyelashes like Bambi that they sitting up in and he ain't got no answers for you. And you ask him again and he don't say nothing. And then you say, well, let me get your phone. And they looking a little slick from the side, and you pull the pistol out, and then you get that phone. And when you get that phone, you go through the phone and you hit the number and you call, and it is, in fact, your daughter's number. I gotta say, even if the judge had not done anything wrong, I gotta agree with the mindset of the sheriff had a right to suspect something nefarious, because a 53-year-old man with your daughter, your 15-year-old daughter's number in his phone, and he's never called you and said, hey man, does little Charlotte know how to tutor? Because I got a daughter that needs tutoring. That is not in evidence. Let me see what JC saying. JC said, I'm just saying, when the 21 or 25-year-old guys were hanging around the high school and dances, we thought it was cute. It wasn't until we graduated high school that it clicked that they were pedophiles. Now, hold on. I ain't getting into that type of language. I can't say that. Well, and let me say this. Y'all know how I feel about it. But I do know that some of you all in different sectors of life don't have a problem with a 21-year-old coming to the house to pick up your 18-year-old child. Okay? Because some of y'all be like, well, She almost grown. She grown in the eyes of the law. So I'm not going to get into that little bag of swirls, JC, but I certainly see your point. But I don't think there's any scenario by which a 53-year-old man should have a 15-year-old girl's number in his phone. Again, if I'm giving the judge some level of grace, because I don't know the facts of it, if he was looking for a tutor, he should have called a 15-year-old girl's parents and asked them, does your daughter tutor? And if so, I've got a child who needs tutoring. Would it be okay? I don't know that didn't happen. But I do know at some point, and I'm only going based on the preliminary hearing, at some point, whatever was said in the past, how even if it was cool in the past, this sheriff did not suspect that his 15-year-old daughter's number should have been in that 53-year-old judge's cell phone. And I agree. Now, just because y'all know some folks in your family, let me see what Big Andre said. Andre said, I have that conversation with my wife from time to time. When I was 21, she was 12. It's crazy to think about that now. See, Andre, the only thing about it we know for sure is when you was 21, you wasn't looking at her then. You met her when you was older and she was legally grown. And that's the difference, my brother. That's why you be keeping an eye on your daughter and making sure none of these busters ain't got no business being around her, ain't around her. And I want y'all to understand that, because age is a tricky thing. Once all parties are grown, ain't nothing tricky about age when one is a minor. Now, for the record, and I know some of y'all gonna get mad when I say this, but for the record, you have to process a lot of different possibilities at this point because there's not enough facts and evidence. But the only reason why we're even talking about this from all these different perspectives, because we have graduated from a time when your daughter used to wear pigtails in her hair. We've graduated from a time when your child looked like a child, you didn't have a lot of grown men trying to roll up on them. But now y'all are feeding them processed foods, got them walking around here, eating all kind of things. She wearing your clothes, you wearing her clothes, y'all sharing shoes and Negroes, if you will. And I'm not, again, I'm saying this because I don't want this situation to go by and we find out more information and then y'all saying XYZ. We don't know the circumstance, but we know the young lady's phone number was in there. And I'm saying to you all on the other side of the track, many of you need to re-examine the flexibility that you giving your kids, but especially your daughters. Because when you allow your daughter at whatever age to leave the house looking like she's older than what she is, stop acting surprised when these, as JC said, when pedophiles or men with bad intentions are approaching them, because truth be told, a man shouldn't have to ask for the ID of your daughter. If she's a child, make her leave the house looking like one. JC said that's different. When my hubby was 21, I was 5. Lord have mercy. Y'all are killing me. Y'all are not making the points for a brother tonight. Listen, Linda, listen. I don't even want to talk about that. Brother Andre said, and the busters are looking. I had to straighten one out in a store one day. He made my daughter feel very uncomfortable, although he only said, you looking good. I had to step to him and say, my dude, the girl you were talking to is 12 years old. You need to watch who you making them comments to. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying these things because Andre is a well-rounded critical thinker, but he's still a man. And when it comes to his daughter, his wife, his family, he ain't playing about that foolishness. And you got some men that are out here that just don't care. That's one group. But you do have that other group that ain't gonna ask your daughter for her ID card if she looking like, and let me say this. Jesus, keep me near the cross on this one. Some ladies, not all, be walking around, driving around with their daughters talking about, we looking like sisters. No, that is not cute. Because either that means you think you look exceptionally young or your daughter is looking older than her age. And if it's the latter, if your daughter is leaving home with heels on and jeans on and a tight shirt tied up in the front, and she's going out to public locations, that dude should not have to guess because she looks like her mama. Andre said, I can't say I would have killed a man, but he definitely would have caught the end of that pistol whipping. But we got to get back to accountability, people. If your daughter looks like your wife, they wearing the same clothes, the same heels, she got the same purse. Why is a grown man having to guess whether or not your daughter is your wife? It's because sometimes, not all times, we're allowing our daughters to go out here looking too grown and too old. And then if somebody steps to a young lady in that situation, we ready to put these paws on her, but you probably ought to be slapping yourselves. Because on one hand, you're talking about, oh, it's this change in times. No, it ain't no change in times. It's a change in your parental strategy. You want to be friends, so you're going to let her look like you, but you don't want a man that looked at you to look at her. I say you get back to them two plaques on the side of their head. You and your daughter going to the same cosmetologist asking for the same hairdo. Y'all going to the same makeup counter getting the same brand of makeup. She wearing your clothes. You wearing hers. Both of y'all going to the house. What you doing? That matter of fact, y'all got my head hurting on this one. I ain't even gonna joke. But I'm letting y'all know there could be a host of reasons. But I'm not mad at the current stage of this that the sheriff who found his 15-year-old daughter number in a 53-year-old man's phone, I am not mad at him once he had confirmation that the number was in there. Whatever he did, wherever he did it, I'm just gonna be honest with you. At this stage of the game, though I do not condone murder, I believe that sometimes a person can do something that is so severe that another human being can lose control of their normal thought process. I ain't saying it's right, but you knew if you had a grown man's 53-year-old man had your 15-year-old daughter's number in his phone and it was locked in. Again, he scrolled through the contacts, if you will. Andre said, you're right, bro. My wife definitely has told me to tone down the clothes my daughter wears. That right there. See, that's old school parenting right there. Because sometimes, and let me say this for the record, I know I ain't gonna get none but pitchforks in my DM tonight, but it's okay. Because sometimes it takes a grown man to tell you all what you don't want to hear. I don't care if your child makes straight A's in school. That's what they supposed to do. You can have a good child. You can have a great child. I don't care nothing about you buying them everything they want to buy. You can buy whatever you can afford. But there ought to come a point where you stop sacrificing common sense and stop saying to yourself, I'm going to give my daughter more flexibility because she's a good child, knowing that some of these predators out here in these streets don't care nothing about your baby girl getting straight A's if you got her out here looking like she's 21. That's why I always had a problem that there are some men in jail right now who went to a 21 and older club. Excuse me. And when they went to these 21 and older clubs, they ran up on somebody, started messing with some lady, young lady, whatever. They didn't ask for ID. It's the bouncer's job to ask for the ID. If your 15 or underage daughter is in a 21 and older club because she snuck in, jumped through the window, came down the fire escape, however she got in there, them men in that club got a right to believe that if they had a 21 and over club, they don't have to write and ask like they the police, let me get your ID. I just say I got my daughter listening to your show tonight, bro. That's my brother right there. And again, I'm not coming down hard on them, but I need y'all to process this. Stop getting mad with folks if we not doing our job as parents. Love your child. Reward your child for being good, because there's a lot of them out here that ain't. But there's a difference between rewarding and putting her in a situation that some other person out here in these streets could get the wrong idea. You better know where you sending your child. Are we just going to the game? Okay, going to the game. I'm coming too. Well, why you got to come? You gonna embarrass me. Well, you ain't going to watch football or basketball then. I can't be no embarrassment to you. What, you done told somebody you ain't got parents? Oh, you don't want to go. Now, I ain't say that you have to sit next to me, but you gonna sit somewhere in my line of sight. Absolutely. You sitting somewhere within three of them bleachers from me. I can tell you, I've been the type of parent that'll say, hey, let me get your phone. If I'm paying for the cell phone bill, I'll look through the cell phone. I remember I used to get told, oh, that's an invasion of my privacy. Nope, that's an invasion of my monthly payments. And if you ain't doing nothing, what you worried about me going in it for? But we done got to the point where there are opportunities for individuals with negative intentions to get a hold of or get around your daughters, because we stopped being parents because we have evolved to, I can trust my child. Some of you ladies feel like you can't trust your man, but you'll trust your child. Really? Oh, because I know what my child will do. No, you don't. You know what they'll do in your space because they have already learned how to manage you. I do believe, and I'm saying it on the record, that when you have a child that is doing good in school, doing the right things in school, being a part of something, I'm not saying keep them on lockdown. But if you can get A's dressed like your mama, lipstick, makeup, hair, and all this, you can get them same A's without all that on. You want to go to the game? You going to that joker looking like Pippi Longstocking. You gonna have them 2 plaits on the side. You going up in there. You ain't got to sit around me because you're going to be looking like you 15 and ain't nobody over 15 going to want to talk to you because they going to look at you and unless they did it, they ain't going to want to talk to you because I'm going to make sure that you look like what you are. And I know some of y'all mad. I can feel the energy. I'm not saying that you're bad parents. I'm saying you got to look at your parenting scale. Some of y'all saying, oh, Sinclair, you wrong. Let me tell y'all this. Write this down. I'm going to wait for some of y'all to get a little pen. Matter of fact, go to the notes section. What Gwendolyn Lady Elegance said. She said, I took the door off the hinges with my daughter when she was in middle school because she thought she was grown. Girl, who you telling that to? I done took look, real talk. It'll probably never come out to the public. But I done took doors off the hinges before. Matter of fact, I took a door off the hinges for so long, I forgot. It turned into a whole nother piece of furniture in another area of the house. Because when you violate the trust, I don't have the luxury of hoping that you're going to do right the second time. But let me tell y'all done got your pens. I want y'all to listen to what I'm about to say. Write this down. Or again, put it in your little note section of your phone. I, as the grown man, you all as grown adults, if you walk out in the street tomorrow in the middle of the day and you see a man or a woman with a navy blue uniform on, with a badge on it, with a gun and holster around their waist, with some handcuffs on it, you're going to assume that they are police officers because they are dressed in law enforcement attire. Now, it don't mean that they're one, but you're going to assume it because if it looks like a police officer, got police officer equipment, you're going to assume that it is a police officer. Does that make sense? All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. If you leave your house tomorrow and you go to your place of work, and when you go in the door, there is a woman and she is dressed in medical scrubs and you don't work at a hospital or any medical facility. If you see somebody with scrubs on and perhaps they got a stethoscope around their neck, you're going to assume that they are a medical practitioner of some sort, nurse, doctor, somebody that has the skill set in the medical industry because they got what? They got a stethoscope and some scrubs. Now, they could be somebody that just like to wear scrubs and love to listen to their own heartbeat. Granted. But if you got on the attire of a medical professional, it is reasonable for Joe Public, such as you and I, to assume that the person I'm looking at is a medical professional because they got the gear on. Policeman, somebody wearing a police uniform, I think they the police. Somebody wearing medical scrubs and got a stethoscope, I think they a medical professional. Give you one more. You go to church. Some of y'all ain't been in a while, but I'm going to pray for you. But if you go to church and you look up in the pulpit and you see that there are a group of people, one or more, that have on a robe and they got a cloak and a collar on. Now, they have on preacher or pastor or elder or whatever you call them in your denomination. They look like that's what they are because they have on the attire. They're dressed for the job that they have. Does that make sense to you all? I've given you 3 different ones: police officer, medical professional, and a preacher. Now, let me take this a little deeper for you. If your daughter leaves the house and she has on pants with the front and back cut off, legs popping out of all sides of it. If she got on a halter top with a stomach showing and an earring in her stomach, a navel ring, I think that's what they call her. She got a purse stowed over her shoulder. She got a bunch of makeup on. She got her hair done, a wig on, some tracks in that make her look like she got 27 inches of hair on her head. Face full of makeup. Eyelashes looking like Bambi. Somebody, anybody who sees that person in the store, in the club, walking down the street, may assess that person is either a grown woman or someone who works in the street industry. Now, don't get mad. I ain't called none of your daughters ladies of the evening. I ain't called them no name. But if you believe that when you see a person in a police uniform that they are a police officer, if you believe that when you see somebody in a medical scrubs with a stethoscope, that person is a medical professional. If you believe that when you see a preacher or a pastor or some clergy member in the pulpit with the robe on and the collar, that person is a member of the clergy, then why do I have to change my thought if you got your 15-year-old, your 12-year-old, your 16, 17-year-old child out here dressing like a grown woman? Why does a man have to assume that she's not a grown woman? You want my logic to become illogical because you are letting your child do illogical things. I don't know that dude is the police. I don't know that woman with the stethoscope and scrubs is a medical professional. I don't know that the person in the pulpit, just because they got on a robe, is truly clergy. But I'm looking at them and I can associate in my mind what jobs or skill sets comes normally with that uniform. These men out here in these clubs, these men that are walking around. Now, let me say this, grown men. I don't think there's a reason for a grown man to be at the mall. I disdain going to the mall. I ain't going to the mall for nothing. I ain't going at Christmas time. Listen, if you want something from me for Christmas, you better tell me so I can order it. I do not go to the mall. I'm too grown for the mall. Now, ladies, I ain't saying you are. Some of y'all need mall strolling activities to get your head right. But I don't know grown men that ever wake up and say, man, let me call Johnny up because me and Jay Dizzle going to the mall. If Johnny was to call me and say, man, I need you to roll with me to the mall, I'm going to tell him you done lost your mind. You going there by yourself. Call me when you're finished. Let's go grab something to eat. Let's go fishing. I'm not going to no mall. I don't even feel comfortable in the mall, and I be looking at y'all kids like some aliens already anyway. I'm just saying. And none of this indicates that the 15-year-old girl in this story has done anything inappropriate, because those are not facts that are in evidence. Now, if we find out that there were some text messages going back and forth, then we're going to revisit that. But we do know that the 53-year-old judge had the number. We know that it was stored in his phone. And we also know that there was some communication that notified the sheriff, because he went specifically to talk to the judge, that led to the series of events. And I want y'all to take that in consideration. I know we didn't spend any time talking about the other legal situation going on, but we're gonna hit that up next week. We're gonna be tracking this case. We're gonna track the Diddy case. Look, let me say this before I get off here. Annie Moore said, Sinclair, how did he get the number? Did she know? I don't know. They didn't say that in the preliminary hearing that I watched, but we will stay apprised to this. But let me say this. Those of you who've been keeping up with the Diddy case, he was back before his lawyers was back before trying to get him some bail. Y'all was all making, Andre said, I got to disagree with you on that one. The key word is logical thinking. Knowing teens and preteens can look older, the logical brother has to ask the question or wonder. I have a personal backstory for my logical thinking. It's not every man, but it's my thinking. Absolutely, Andre. And I'm not knocking your way of thinking. I am saying to those individuals who cannot decipher that because we live in a society where there are a lot of people who mean bad to young people, young men and young women, that it is our responsibility to do what we can within reason to protect them, even if they don't understand it. Because you can have a young woman who looks older and doesn't have to be wearing makeup, tight clothes, or anything. It could just be her natural build. And I'm not talking about them, but I'm surely talking about when you make a conscious decision, whatever the age is, that you're going to allow your daughter to start wearing makeup, and makeup does not give a person a right to approach your daughter in any disrespectful manner. I'm just saying we got to deal with what society has in front of us today. So if you're not checking your daughters on the limits that they go to in terms of what they wear and the level of makeup, or you know whether or not your daughter looks too old. If you're not woman enough or man enough, or you don't want to, in your eyes, sabotage the personal relationship with them, I just need you to understand that that person in the street, if your daughter is out in the street looking like she's older, they're not under any mandate to be asking someone who looks like an adult if they're adult. I don't have nobody asking me, am I old enough for anything? Now, y'all could say it's because my beard is gray. I still might have a baby face. But ain't nobody asking me my age because I look like I'm older. But what if I wasn't? What if I was still 17, 16? Don't y'all say nothing smart. Matter of fact, man, it's after 9 o'clock. Let me get off here. I got to go get me some rest. We're going to talk next week, man. Y'all keep y'all eyes on y'all kids. Check them phones. Make sure that they understand it's not because I don't trust you, but I don't trust you. And so I'm going to do whatever I got to do to protect you, and we're going to still be cool. But us being cool is not a mandate. Me making sure you make it till you become an adult so you can make your own decisions is my job and responsibility. I got to go, people. It's on and popping.
It's about that time, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go. The Sinclair Show is on.
It's on.